agree, I don't stand Cherry Bullet or 80s, but I am a casual listener of the two. I remember Bora from Girls Planet and remember how talented she is, and as for Jungho, I listened to a couple of his projects and he's amazing. I've noticed how talented of vocalists they both are, but since they're from lesser-known groups or companies they don't really get the recognition they deserve. I don't know much about technique, which I know recent K-pop stans have been basing vocalists off their technique. But I base off a vocalist off of how they sound. If their voice is appealing to me, then they're a good vocalist. And to me, Bora and Jungho's voices are that. I'm not sure if they're the best, but they're definitely up there. I somewhat agree. I feel like Sakura could fit the rapper role in lessrafim, and that maybe that could be improved along with her singing. Her rapping part in Unforgiven wasn't horrible and honestly I could see the switch to her becoming a rapper in the future. As for singing, I feel like if Sakura wants to focus on improving her singing, then that's up to her. Honestly, I feel like since her debut in iZone and especially recently, people were coming for her vocals and technique. I'm not surprised that you guys ruined her confidence in that aspect, to the point where she asked for less lines and is visibly very nervous and uncomfortable during encore stages. So many K-pop stans throw around words they don't fully know the meaning of, to the point where those words don't even hold any weight anymore. I've seen this with the word mistreatment. Obviously K-pop has had a past of mistreatment towards idols, but just because one mishap happens doesn't mean they're mistreated. The writer of this opinion pointed out that sometimes things out of our control happen, which is true, but that doesn't automatically mean mistreatment. From what I've seen, I feel like a real case of mistreatment is towards Kepler. Wakian continues to treat them unfairly, and I feel like this mistreatment has been highlighted since ZB1 made their final group. I have to disagree. I actually really enjoyed Lisa's solo. I liked the two songs. For Jisoo, her solo wasn't my favorite but I like Flower. As for Born Pink, I really liked Shutdown and Type of Girl, however I didn't really like the other B-sides and Pink Van Ham. I 100% agree. Jennie is grown and shouldn't be getting hate for being in the Idol. Personally, the Idol is a little too much for me, so I won't be watching. If others think that too, just don't watch. But why we hating on Jennie? Like, let her get her check. Also, from what I've seen, Jennie isn't even really in explicit scenes. So why are people coming for her like, it's insane. I disagree. Not all good B-sides need to be a title track. Back to the City is probably my favorite song on the mini-album, however, I don't think it needs to be a title track. I feel like they made the right choice choosing Giddy. Giddy just sounds like a title track and Back to the City sounds like a B-side. Giddy is catchy and hooks you, Back to the City is amazing but it's not as catchy as Giddy is. I love Thirsty, it's also my favorite song on the mini-album. But it doesn't need to be a title track. I think they made the right choice choosing Spicy. Spicy is catchy and in my opinion, the choreography is better. I definitely disagree. You could have had me for a second if they said No Return instead of Fire in the Belly, but still. EPTBW is so unique and fits really well with their concept, especially with a couple of their other songs on previous albums. It sounds so cool. We haven't heard anything like this in K-pop really, which is why it stood out and I'm glad it was chosen to be pushed and promoted more. I disagree. I think this is the craziest thing I've seen all day. Sasaengs cause extreme worry and stress to idols. They're literally stalkers. We should not be saying this. Honestly, I agree. Although I don't dislike Sneakers or Cheshire, I also like Voltage. And what I've seen from many midsies is that they all really enjoyed and liked Voltage, so if it was a Korean release, I feel like it would have been received and charted a lot well. I disagree. I see the point this person is making, by saying sometimes storylines can be very confusing, which is something I agree on. However, I feel like storylines are what makes K-pop so unique. Like the storyline with NewJeans is so different and interesting, we don't see stuff like this in Western music. However, I do wish sometimes storylines could be a bit more digestible, maybe like lessrafim's concept. Lessrafim's concepts is pretty straightforward, like literally just look at their lyrics. But their trilogy was digestible and good, but not as complicated as maybe SM's groups or BTS storylines. I disagree. I think Junghyun should debut alone next. I feel like many people underestimate her ability and talents. She's one of the strongest dancers and vocalist of Twice, whilst also having good stage presence. I believe she could stand on her own. I know chaeryeong wants to also debut as a soloist, so she's out of the question of being a part of a subunit as well. Honestly, I could see Taehyung and tzuyu debuting as soloists alone or as a subunit themselves. I would love to see more of their ability and see them promoted alone. No. Don't get me wrong, I really like Ready to Be, however, I can't believe someone wrote this aware of the fact of their other albums. Like, they're acting like albums like Formula of Love or Eyes Wide Open don't exist. Or, if we want to talk about mini albums, Between 1 and 2 and Feel Special. Like Let's Be So For Real right now. I disagree. Obviously, since NewJeans actually makes good music, they have a stable and loyal fan base now. However, if any other group debuted under an unknown group with no teasers, no warnings, they would still be unknown. However, NewJeans could do this since Attention was released on HYBE's YouTube channel. Again, I don't want to discredit NewJeans and their success, they wouldn't be this far if their music was horrible. However, they had the ability to debut like that and gain fans that quickly because of HYBE. I agree, I feel like Lisa's solo is a close second to me, but Rosé's solo is definitely the best. It felt very personal, especially the lyrics. I really enjoyed Rosé's solo. I disagree. I feel like it really depends on the album, like there are definitely albums where I like the B-sides more than the title track, like with Formula of Love or My World. However, other times I like the title track more than the rest of the album. So for me it really depends. I agree. Like I said before, I don't know much about technique, I base my opinions of vocals off of how they sound. And to be honest, Winter's voice caught my attention the most in aespa. I know people don't really like her voice because it's nasally, but I don't hate nasally voices. I kind of like them. I agree. Again, I've said this so many times, but I base the vocalist off of how they sound, not their technique. Some idols can have the best technique but have the most annoying voice in the world, which turns me off from certain groups. Like, okay, certain vocalists can hit certain ranges or whatever, but they sound horrible doing it. I disagree. This is a very bold thing to say. I get that some people may be mad or annoyed at K-pop stans for bringing up old things that weren't that bad, and I feel like in some situations that can be valid. But there are many groups where idols did some horrible things and the fans even validate or excuse those things, which can turn people off. It's the people's decision whether to forgive certain idols' actions, and to determine whether they've matured or not.